For over 30 years, the Mayak nuclear storage tank explosion was kept a complete secret until the Cold War ended in 1989. The explosion took place over 30 years before Chernobyl, and up until that point was the largest nuclear disaster the world had ever seen, and nobody even knew about it. The Mayak chemical plant was built in the Urals region of Russia to fulfill Stalin's goal to create weapons-grade plutonium for atom bombs. The project was completed in 1949, the same year the Soviet Union detonated its first nuclear bomb. In 1957, a storage tank of highly radioactive nuclear waste exploded, exposing at least 217 towns and 272,000 people to chronic levels of radiation. Though this was only half the size of Chernobyl, the Mayak storage tank was not the only medium of radiation that the people of the Urals region were exposed to. Between the years of 1948 and 1956, radioactive waste was poured directly into the source of drinking water for many villages, the Techa River. This alone exposed another 124,000 people to dangerous levels of radiation.
We no longer expect anything good out of life. When my village was moved away from the contaminated river, I came on a bulldozer to the clear banks. I drove through the river many times. In 1974, I started to feel I had problems. My bones started to bend and twist gradually. Nothing will come of the law to import nuclear waste for money. Somebody for sure will steal the money that will be paid, and we will continue to rot here.
50 years later, this region that contains both Mayak and the Techa River is one of the most radioactive places on Earth, and around 7,000 people still live in the area.
I wish the general health of the children would be much better. More than half of them are ill and have to be monitored constantly by specialists. They have diseases of the nerve system and the heart, and they have speech problems and blood diseases. My daughter Regina was born with a very serious heart condition. She can suffocate because of it. She should not do any physical exercise at all. She already had one heart operation, an operation on the lung artery. It was very risky and difficult operation, but we needed to have it done to save the child. She is still not healthy.
Even with the staggering evidence Russia is faced with, the government still continues to expose the area with nuclear radiation. Just recently, the Russian government passed legislation that would allow other countries to import nuclear waste to Mayak that would then stay at the plant forever. Countries that have considered taking advantage of this are Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Bulgaria, Hungary, Switzerland, Germany, Spain, and our very own United States. Even though none of the countries that ship their nuclear waste to Mayak would allow the Mayak plant to continue operating on their soil, they insist upon dumping their nuclear waste there anyway, although it continues to endanger thousands of lives.
To Mr. Kazyanov, Prime Minister of the Russian Federation, my name is Ramses Faizulin. I was born disabled. At present, I am 16, and, like any other boy of my age, I go to school, but I feel bad at school, because the boys are calling me bad names. I fall ill very often. It hurts to know that I am not like the others, and I want to be like the others. I want to look as good as they do. I want to court the girls, but they shun me and refuse to go out with me. I do not want to have children who look like me. That is why I am against any import of radioactive waste from foreign countries. If the ministers and the others want money, why do they not build nuclear power plants in the Moscow region or right in Moscow? We have suffered from radiation so much that almost every week someone in our village dies from cancer. So why don't the members of the parliament think well before they permit this into the country?
All this only raises the question, why is nuclear energy used when it has all these repercussions? Granted, using nuclear power plants for energy is a bit different from using it for bombs. In fact, there are many people who support using nuclear energy. The reason they support nuclear energy is because it is a very attractive alternative to fossil fuels. It could potentially be the solution to global warming. This is because nuclear energy doesn't emit carbon. It is the nuclear fission between atoms that creates heat and therefore energy. As of today, there are only 3 solid solutions to this problem. The first is cooling pools. Cooling pools are large vats of boric acid, which helps absorb some of the radiation. There are problems with cooling pools, however. They are not a permanent storage space. If the cooling rods get too close to each other, the remaining nuclear fuel could go critical and a nuclear chain reaction could occur. Another solution to the problem of storage is dry cask storage. This puts waste in reinforced casks, sometimes by entombing it in concrete bunkers. Dry cask storage isn't a permanent solution to nuclear waste storage because there's only a limited amount of space. The final solution is to bury it underground. However, this can only be done with low-level nuclear waste that loses radiation after hundreds of years. It also can't be buried anywhere where there is flowing underground water nearby. Currently, there is a plan for the United States to store its nuclear waste in the Yucca Mountains in Nevada. This also poses prospective problems, more specifically, the "not in my backyard" complaint. The people of Nevada are opposed to the idea of storing nuclear waste in their home, with good reason, as there are still the human health concerns to address. The people near the Yucca Mountains don't want what happened in Mayak and Chernobyl and countless other places of nuclear disaster to happen on their soil. So if you have the same concerns and believe that human life is more important than just one of the many forms of alternative energy, please help us bring this issue to light. One way to help is to contact the U.S. Department of Energy and state your opposition to the use of nuclear energy.